walls whisper secrets of past suffering, their cold stones echoing with the cries of the forgotten. Imagine standing in the silent halls of a century-old asylum, where every shadow seems to hold a memory, every draught a ghostly sigh. Tonight, we descend into the chilling depths of the United Kingdom's most haunted hospitals, places where the veil between worlds thins, and the spirits of the sick and the lost still roam. Are you brave enough to listen? 15. Stonehaven War Memorial Hospital. Stonehaven, Scotland. They say in the hushed, sterile corridors of Stonehaven War Memorial Hospital, a vigilant spirit still performs her rounds. It is the spectral form of a nurse, her uniform a faded echo of white from a bygone era, gliding silently through the empty halls. Nurses on night duty, their breath catching in the cold, still air, have reported her frequent appearances, a fleeting glimpse at the end of a long, dark passage, or a sudden, unexplained chill that passes through a room. She doesn't speak, doesn't interact, but her presence is unmistakable, leaving behind a profound sense of melancholic duty. Staff members whisper of the subtle rustle of an unseen skirt, the faint, almost imperceptible scent of old antiseptic, or the distinct feeling of being watched by an unseen guardian. It's as if she believes her patients, long since departed and still require her unwavering care. Or perhaps she herself is one of the forgotten, bound to her post by an oath that transcends mortality. Her steps are soundless, her form translucent, yet the impact of her presence is palpable, a cold whisper against the skin, a shadow that seems to drain the light from the air. Could she be one of the dedicated nurses who served during the tumultuous war years, forever tethered to the place where so much pain and hope converged? One wonders if she searches for a particular patient, or if she simply cannot relinquish the responsibility that defined her life. Stonehaven's spectral nurse is a chilling reminder of devotion that refuses to fade, a silent sentinel in a hospital that bears the weight of a nation's sacrifice. And in the deep quiet of the night, perhaps you can still feel her watchful gaze, a comforting dread in the heart of timeless duty. 14. Murray Royal Asylum. Perth, Scotland. They say a sorrowful presence still glides through the ancient wards of Murray Royal Asylum, a spectral echo of the countless tears shed within its formidable walls. This is the realm of the Grey Lady, a haunting figure whispered about by former patients and staff. Her story a thread woven into the very fabric of the old asylum. Her appearances are not those of a malevolent entity, but rather a profoundly melancholic one. Her form a shimmering silhouette draped in faded gray, perpetually wandering, searching. The air in the older sections of the asylum, even now, often grows heavy and cold, a prelude to her silent procession. Witnesses describe a profound sense of sadness that descends, a grief so palpable it feels like a physical weight on the chest. One might catch a fleeting glimpse of her turning a corner, or hear the faintest rustle of fabric that seems to emanate from nowhere. Her presence is a stark reminder of the long-forgotten souls who languished here, their hopes dimming with each passing day. Many believe she is a patient herself, forever bound to the place where her sanity, and perhaps her life, unraveled. Unable to find release, her steps are soundless, her gaze averted. Yet she imbues the space with an overwhelming sense of lingering sorrow. Is she searching for a lost love, a forgotten child, or merely a moment of peace she never found in life? The chilling accounts speak not of jump scares, but of an enduring, creeping dread, a profound empathy for a spirit eternally trapped in a cycle of grief. To walk these derelict halls is to feel the echoes of her despair, a quiet tragedy that refuses to dissipate, and one cannot help but wonder if her sorrow is not just her own, but an embodiment of all the silent suffering the asylum was built to contain, a ghostly sentinel of forgotten anguish. 13. Royal London Hospital at Whitechapel, London, England. The very air in Whitechapel, London's historic heart of shadows and whispers, carries the indelible stain of unspeakable horrors, and nowhere is this felt more acutely than within the ancient, formidable walls of the Royal London Hospital. It stands as a grim sentinel in a district forever etched with the chilling legend of Jack the Ripper, a history of human depravity and raw, desperate suffering that seems to have seeped into its very stones. This hospital, a silent witness to countless tragedies and the final destination for many of the Ripper's victims, now reverberates with chilling tales from those who dare to linger after dark, near the long-disused operating theaters and where life and death once hung in a brutal, often futile balance. Visitors frequently report an unnerving, a glacial chill that defies any natural explanation, a cold breath on the nape of the neck. The silence here is not empty, but thick and heavy with unseen presences, punctuated by phantom whispers that coil around you, just beyond the edge of understanding. Are they the desperate pleas of dying patients, the muffled laments of forgotten souls, or perhaps the chilling murmurs of spectral doctors debating a lost cause? Shadows, here, seem to possess an unnerving and fluid life of their own, darting just out of sight, amorphous forms flickering at the periphery of vision, hinting at spectral nurses still tending to their spectral charges. Or perhaps the restless spirits of those who succumbed to the Ripper's blade, brought here in their final gruesome moments, their terror still echoing. A pervasive, insidious sensation of being watched relentlessly follows you through the older labyrinthine corridors, a cold, unwavering gaze from unseen eyes. It is not the playful trickery of a fleeting ghost, but a heavy or subtly oppressive presence, a tangible weight of collective suffering that presses down, threatening to suffocate. The sorrow of countless forgotten patients, the ghosts of overworked doctors, and the indelible stain of the city's most infamous serial killer all contribute to a suffocating tapestry of dread. One cannot help but wonder if the screams and terror of Whitechapel's dark past have become an eternal resident here, forever binding tormented souls to this place of desperate healing that witnessed so much unbearable pain. Perhaps the very walls are silently screaming, a perpetual testament to horrors that refuse to die. 12. St. Thomas's Hospital, London, England. They say the very foundations of St. Thomas's Hospital, overlooking the ceaseless flow of the River Thames, are laid upon layers of ancient sorrow, a poignant testament to the countless souls who have drawn their final, desperate breaths within its venerable walls. As one of London's oldest institutions of healing, its history is a heavy tapestry woven with threads of illness, suffering, and death, each knot a life extinguished, leaving behind an indelible imprint that defies the passage of time. The very air here seems to hum with a quiet, persistent grief, a haunting echo of human fragility. Venture into the older, quieter wings, particularly those less traversed by modern medical bustle, and you might be met not just by the chill of an old building, but by sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature, cold spots that bite with an otherworldly intensity, as if the very warmth of life has been perpetually drawn from them. These are often accompanied by the most unnerving of sounds, faint, mournful sighs that seem to well up from the ancient stones themselves, heavy with regret and unspoken pain. resonating from unseen lips. They are not merely the sounds of a settling building, but the profound exhalations of those who died in agony, their suffering refusing to dissipate into the ether. One does not simply walk through these corridors. One navigates a subtle, oppressive presence, a collective weight of spirits who never truly departed. Are they the souls of patients lost to incurable ailments, still searching for a comfort that never came? Or perhaps the overworked, weary doctors who toiled endlessly, their ghosts forever bound to their duty, a fleeting brush against your arm, a sudden, chilling whisper just beyond hearing? Or the profound sense of unseen eyes following your every move? These are the spectral narratives of St. Thomas's. One wonders if these enduring presences are forever tethered, their final moments perpetually replayed, making this historic institution a perpetual hospice for the tragically unresting. 11. Claybury Hospital, Woodford Bridge, London, England. They say the very stones of Claybury Hospital whisper with the echoes of Victorian despair, a grand yet monstrous edifice of forgotten suffering that now slowly crumbles amidst the encroaching wild. Once a formidable asylum designed to house the afflicted, its formidable walls and labyrinthine corridors now stand as a testament to an era of misunderstood mental health, where hope often withered and sanity fractured. The air that hangs heavy within its decaying shell is not merely stale, it is thick with an ancient sorrow, a palpable residue of torment that clings to every peeling wallpaper and shattered pane. Step beyond the threshold, and the silence is not empty but pregnant with unseen presences. Visitors and urban explorers recount a chilling symphony that plays through the vacant wards, the low, persistent moans of unseen patients, a sound thin and reedy, weaving through the drafts like forgotten pleas for release. These are not just sounds of an old building settling. They are the profound, guttural expressions of souls trapped in an unending loop of agony, their voices carrying across the decades. More unsettling still are the reports of dark, fast-moving shadows that dart through the peripheral vision, fleeting blurs of despair vanishing around corners, as if the tormented spirits still rush frantically, seeking an escape that never comes. The dilapidated remnants of Claybury aren't just haunted by figures, but by the very essence of its grim history, a creeping sense of being watched, of inexplicable cold spots, and the overwhelming feeling that the suffering never truly ended. One is left to wonder if the darkness that clings to Claybury's bones is merely shadow, or the solidified despair of those who never truly escaped its grasp, forever bound to its decaying embrace. 10. Royal Victoria Hospital, Netley Hospital, Netley, Hampshire, England. They say the very air over Netley's sprawling grounds still carries the faint, mournful scent of iodine and faded glory, a lingering testament to a colossal institution where countless lives were both saved and lost. Once a monumental military hospital, the Royal Victoria stood as a beacon of hope and a crucible of suffering for thousands of wounded soldiers returning from distant battlefields. Now, its magnificent yet haunting ruins echo with the spectral cadence of those who never truly left their last post. Wander through what remains of its grand avenues, and the chilling reports begin to coalesce, the distinct, heavy thud of marching boots on unseen floors. A rhythmic echo that suggests a phantom patrol continues its solemn rounds. These are the footsteps of the fallen, the wounded, the weary, forever trapped in a cycle of duty and pain. Witnesses often describe fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures in military dress, soldiers with an air of profound sadness, their forms dissolving just as quickly as they appear, perhaps still searching for peace or a way home. The sheer scale of human agony absorbed by these walls has left an indelible stain, manifesting as cold spots that pierce through the warmest days and a pervasive sense of sorrow that clings to the ancient bricks. Netley Hospital is a silent sentinel to epochs of conflict, its every stone steeped in the courage and despair of generations. One can almost hear the distant, phantom groans from makeshift operating theaters, the whispered goodbyes, and the unuttered prayers of those who breathed their last here. In the deep quiet, beneath the skeletal remains of its past grandeur, the soldiers of Netley maintain their eternal vigil, forever bound to the hospital that served as both their sanctuary and their final resting place. 9. Clifton Hospital, York, England. They say the very air within the decaying shell of what was once Clifton Hospital still vibrates with a chilling, unseen cacophony, a mournful symphony of suffering, forever trapped between the crumbling brick and peeling paint. This former psychiatric asylum, cloaked in the heavy shroud of its own sorrowful history, is a place where the veil between worlds seems dangerously thin, allowing the anguished cries of its past residents to seep into the present. Visitors and former staff speak of disembodied voices, whispering from empty rooms, their words a garbled, desperate plea that chills one to the bone. Others report the heart-wrenching sound of phantom crying, a childlike wail that reverberates through the desolate corridors, echoing the profound despair of patients who found no solace or escape. But perhaps most unsettling are the accounts of unseen hands. Many have described an inexplicable sensation of being pushed, a cold, firm shove from an invisible entity, as if the trapped spirits, desperate for recognition or release, are attempting to physically make their presence known. The lingering energy here is one of profound torment, a heavy weight that presses down on the living and embodying the persistent agony of those confined within its walls. One might walk through a seemingly empty ward, only to feel a sudden piercing cold or an overwhelming sense of sadness, as if brushing past a ghost still lost in its own despair. Clifton Hospital stands as a stark monument to forgotten souls, their suffering etched into its very fabric, their spectral laments forever seeking an ear to hear them. And as dusk descends upon its silent grounds, one can only wonder if the ceaseless cries of its trapped inhabitants will ever truly find an end. 8. Whittingham Hospital, Preston, Lancashire, England. The air itself often feels thin and ragged around the sprawling decaying remains of Whittingham Hospital, as if struggling to breathe beneath the weight of its own dark history. Once one of Britain's largest asylum, a veritable city of suffering nestled in the Lancashire landscape, Whittingham harbored secrets far more terrifying than its formidable walls suggested. For within these vast, crumbling edifices, countless souls endured not just the ravages of their own minds, but also systematic abuse and neglect. The very stones seemed to weep with the memory of their torments, a grim legacy that has curdled the atmosphere into something profoundly sinister. Today, that legacy manifests as a torrent of chilling phenomena. Visitors brave enough to penetrate its shadowed depths report relentless poltergeist activity, unseen hands that slam doors, objects that shift with malevolent intent, and the distinct, unnerving sensation of being watched by countless invisible eyes. But it is the sounds that truly pierce the soul, the phantom echoes of tormented screams, sharp and sudden, tearing through the oppressive silence, as if patients from decades past are still reliving their final terrifying moments. The overwhelming feeling here is one of crushing oppression, a suffocating blanket of dread that settles upon all who enter, making it difficult to breathe, to think, to even move freely. It's as if the sheer volume of suffering, the anger and despair of those unjustly treated, has fused with the very fabric of the building, transforming it into a monument of unquiet spirits. One leaves Whittingham not just with the chill of a ghostly encounter, but with the heavy, lingering question how many of these tortured souls will ever find true peace, and how many are destined to wander its desolate halls, forever crying out for justice in the suffocating silence. 7. Winterton Hospital. Sedgefield, County Durham, England. A profound, suffocating sorrow hangs over Winterton Hospital, a derelict asylum where the wind itself seems to weep through broken windows, carrying whispers of forgotten patients and the chilling sound of children's cries. Even from a distance, the skeletal remains of this once imposing institution exude an aura of profound despair, its crumbling walls and gaping windows like empty eyes staring out at a world that has long moved on, yet leaving its own torment trapped within. They say the very air within Winterton is thick with an unshakable sense of grief, a heavy blanket woven from the countless tears and untold agonies endured by those confined to its sterile, yet brutal, embrace. Those who dare to trespass into its shadowed halls recount experiences that blur the line between waking and nightmare. Fleeting, shadowy figures are a common report, darting just beyond the periphery of vision, often taking on forms that evoke the lost souls of former patients. But it is the phantom sounds that truly pierce the heart, the disembodied wails of infants, the soft, mournful sobs of children echoing from unseen corners, and sometimes even the faint, unsettling melody of a child's forgotten lullaby. It's a cruel reminder that even innocence could not escape the darkness that permeated these walls. The pervasive gloom here is not merely an absence of light. It is an active, consuming presence that drains warmth and hope. Every creak of the decaying structure, every rustle of dry leaves carried by the wind, seems to coalesce into the voices of the dead, eternally trapped, their stories unfinished, their pain unalleviated. One cannot leave Winterton without carrying a fragment of its melancholy, a chilling understanding that some places are not merely abandoned, but are forever bound by the sorrow of those who could never truly leave. 6. St. Bartholomew's Hospital. Barts, London, England. The very stones of St. Bartholomew's Hospital, known affectionately as Barts, are steeped in nearly 9 centuries of human suffering, groundbreaking discovery, and countless final breaths. It is a place where time seems to fold in on itself, the echoes of the past not merely lingering, but actively asserting their presence within its ancient walls, particularly the hallowed, often chilling, operating theaters and the forgotten corridors of its oldest wings. Witnesses have reported a constant, unsettling symphony of the unseen. One might stand in a dimly lit hall, feeling a sudden, inexplicable chill penetrate to the bone, only for a faint whisper to brush past their ear, too indistinct to understand, yet too clear to dismiss as imagination. These aren't just the murmurs of the living. They are believed to be the spectral conversations of doctors and nurses from bygone eras, still tending to unseen patients, or the last, lingering pleas of those who succumbed to their ailments. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, echo from empty rooms, trailing off just as one rounds a corner, leaving only the oppressive silence in their wake. Shadowy figures, mere blurs at the edge of vision, are a common sighting, a fleeting glimpse of a starched white uniform or the slumped, despairing form of a patient. These spectral residents are a poignant reminder of the hospital's immense legacy, a living, or rather, unliving testament to the myriad souls who pass through its doors. Barts doesn't just hold history. It contains the very essence of those who wrote it, forever bound to its ancient foundations. And as twilight falls over Smithfield, one can almost hear the soft, mournful sighs of the unquiet dead, eternally seeking solace within London's oldest hospital. 5. High Royds Hospital. Menston, West Yorkshire, England high above the valley, shrouded often by the Pennine mists, stands High Royds Hospital, once a colossal monument to Victorian psychiatric care, now a sprawling, desolate echo of forgotten torments. They say the very air within its skeletal remains is thick with a despair that clings like grave dust, a tangible residue from the thousands of souls who passed through its gates, many never to leave. This was a place where experimental treatments were not merely procedures but often brutal assaults on the human spirit, and the walls still hum with the anguish of those who endured them. Venture into its vast, decaying corridors, and you might first notice an inexplicable chill, a sudden drop in temperature that has nothing to do with the outside weather. That perhaps a faint, mournful whimper, so fragile it could be the wind, yet too human to ignore. These are believed to be the cries of former patients, their voices etched into the very stone, still echoing the pain of lobotomies and shock therapy. Visitors have reported a distinct, sickening aroma of old ether and decay, a phantom scent from long dismantled operating theaters, clinging persistently in the absence of any discernible source. Shadows here seem to possess an unnatural depth, moving with a deceptive speed at the periphery of vision. It's not uncommon to feel an oppressive weight, as if unseen eyes are fixed upon you, drawing you into the pervasive sadness that saturates every brick. High Royds doesn't just harbor ghosts. It embodies the very essence of human desperation, a vast spectral repository of forgotten lives. And in the profound silence of its abandoned wards, one can't help but wonder if the screams of the past are merely waiting for the quietest moment to break free once more. 4. Bangour Village Hospital, Dechmont, Scotland, deep within the ancient, whispering lowlands of Scotland, where the mist hangs heavy like a mourning veil and the trees seem to clutch at forgotten secrets, lies Bangour Village Hospital. Once a vibrant, self-contained community of medical care, it now stands abandoned, a sprawling ghost town frozen in a perpetual twilight of decay. They say the sheer scale of its desolation has allowed the residual echoes of its past inhabitants to coalesce, transforming this once healing place into a chilling vortex of the unexplainable, a testament to the lives that began and ended within its shadowed embrace. Visitors brave enough to navigate its crumbling paths and enter the skeletal remains of its wards often report an immediate, profound shift in the atmosphere. Here, unseen forces are perpetually at play. Small, forgotten objects within the derelict rooms are known to shift and slide across dusty floors. A restless poltergeist activity hinting at a playful, yet deeply unsettling presence. But it is the auditory phenomena that truly pierce the soul, the distinct, unclear laughter of children echoing from empty nurseries. Beautiful yet utterly devoid of joy, only to vanish the moment one attempts to trace its source. And then there are the shadows, not merely the absence of light, but aggressive, tangible forms that dart through peripheral vision, sometimes seeming to lunge or loom from the deep corners, their intentions undeniably malevolent. Bangour is a place where the thin veil between worlds feels almost transparent, a chilling testament to the notion that some communities, even in their death, refuse to truly rest. What unresolved tragedies still replay in the unseen corners of this forgotten village, forever bound to its decaying stones. waiting for an audience. 3. Severals Hospital, Colchester, Essex, England. Within the sprawling, unskeletal embrace of Severals Hospital, a Victorian asylum whose very stones seem to weep the trauma of a bygone era, the air itself feels stretched thin, reverberating with the echoes of experimental madness. It was here, within these imposing walls, that the most invasive of treatments, lobotomies, and electroshock therapy were once administered, twisting the very fabric of identity. They say the agony and despair of those forgotten souls never truly dissipated, clinging to the brickwork like a cold, persistent mold, eager to make their presence known to any who dare to trespass. Stepping into its decaying wards is to invite a profound sense of violation, a chilling conviction that you are not alone, that unseen eyes track your every hesitant breath. Visitors report an oppressive scrutiny, a feeling so intense it prickles the skin and causes a primal urge to flee. But escape is not so simple when the very environment conspires against you. Doors slam shut without a breeze. Unseen hands push objects from shelves, and the distant, muffled sounds of chains scraping or frantic whispers can send even the bravest heart into a panicked thrum. But the most harrowing encounters are the apparitions themselves. Fleeting shadows that dart across peripheral vision often coalesce into solid, full-bodied forms. A nurse gliding silently through a ruined hallway. A patient hunched in a corner, their eyes wide with a silent, eternal terror. These are not mere residual hauntings, but urgent, tormented presences trapped in a purgatory of their own suffering. What echoes of forgotten treatments still reverberate through Severals, forever binding its victims to a dark, eternal vigil. 2. Denbigh Asylum, North Wales Hospital. Denbigh, Wales. The skeletal ruin of Denbigh Asylum, a colossal testament to Victorian-era mental health care, stands as a grim monument to a brutal history, its crumbling stone walls whispering tales of torment that refuse to die. Within this vast, decaying complex where forgotten souls endured unimaginable suffering, the veil between worlds is notoriously thin. Visitors stepping into its desolate wards often feel an immediate, suffocating chill, an invisible hand pressing against their chest, and a profound sense of anguish clinging to the very air. It is said that the tormented patients, victims of a crueler age, never truly departed. Eyewitnesses recount harrowing experiences of being inexplicably touched, a cold brush against the skin, or a forceful shove from an unseen entity, as if desperate hands still reach out for help or vengeance. The silence within Denbigh is rarely absolute. Instead, it is often punctuated by sudden, blood-curdling screams that pierce the heavy quiet, echoing from empty rooms where no living soul resides. These aren't mere residual impressions. They are visceral manifestations of enduring pain, sharp and terrifying. But perhaps most unnerving are the full-bodied apparitions that drift through the broken corridors and deserted cells. Shadows coalesce into distinct figures, a gaunt patient staring blankly, a nurse in antique uniform moving with an urgent, silent purpose. These aren't fleeting glimpses, they are prolonged encounters with the specters of those whose sanity was shattered, whose lives were stolen, and whose spirits remain trapped in a purgatory of their own making. Denbigh doesn't just hold memories of suffering, it actively breathes it, a festering wound on the landscape, promising only a deeper descent into terror for those who dare to approach its final, most malevolent resident. 1. Newsham Park Hospital, Liverpool, England. If the skeletal ruins of Denbigh whisper of torment, then Newsham Park Hospital, a chilling confluence of orphanage and asylum, screams its horrors into the Liverpool air. widely considered the apex of paranormal activity in the UK. This sprawling, decaying complex is a place where innocence met suffering and sanity crumbled, leaving behind a profound residue of malevolence and despair. To step within its shadow-drenched walls is to enter a living nightmare, where the fabric of reality feels impossibly thin, stretched taut over a void of ancient pain. The spirits of countless abandoned children are said to roam its desolate corridors. Their playful echoes turn to mournful cries, their laughter twisted into chilling, disembodied giggles that send shivers down the spine. Witnesses report fleeting glimpses of tiny figures darting through doorways, or the distinct sensation of small, cold hands brushing against their own. But the childlike apparitions are only part of Newsham's dark tapestry. Aggressive poltergeist activity is rampant. Doors slam shut with unseen force. Objects are hurled across empty rooms, and the air itself often drops to an Arctic chill, marking the presence of an unseen, volatile entity. More terrifying still are the reports of overtly malevolent presences, entities born of prolonged anguish and perhaps something far older, something that delights in fear. Visitors frequently describe an overwhelming, physically draining sense of dread, a suffocating weight that presses in, leaving them gasping for breath and desperate to escape. Some have even reported being pushed, scratched, or having sinister whispers breathed directly into their ears. Newsham isn't merely haunted, it is a nexus of suffering, a place where peace is a forgotten word. And the tormented souls within ensure that no one who enters ever truly leaves untouched by its horrifying, exhausting legacy. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this chilling journey, don't forget to like, comment with your favorite haunted location, and subscribe for more weekly videos from the shadows.